This is House Bill 5511 from Representative Williams would allow the DMV to issue driving privilege licenses/permits to applicants unable to establish lawful presence in the United States, which are not valid for ID purposes, effective July 1, 2019. Chairwoman Williams?
Thank you.
You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Buenos días. Oh, yeah, hold on. I only get to see him once a year, and sometimes once every other 2 years, but that's my friend. So I wanted to acknowledge that. My name is Anastasia Williams. I am state representative of District Number 9 in the city of Providence. I was born in Panama, the city of Colón. Soy panameña, orgullosamente, linda, gordita y toda esa cosa, pero and I believe to be a true advocate for the people of the state of Rhode Island. Not just individual of color, but the voiceless. 5511 is the driving privilege for undocumented residents. I want to give you a little history that I have experienced in my tenure here in the State House. When it comes to justice for all, it's always something that we stand up, we stood up in chamber and recite the Pledge of Allegiance and justice for all. Unfortunately, through these years I have learned that justice is not the same for all, unfortunately. Now, this is a personal situation for me. Having come to this country with my parents born, I haven't been born in Panama, San German. Come here and the hardship with my parents was never shown in the household, the suffering that they had to go through in the household. But as I grew up and became an adult, I see the unfairness and the injustice that occur on a day-to-day basis. It hasn't stopped. But as some of you know, I have learned to put that in check and put those individuals in check, because this is about all of us. This is America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, and all of us have the right to be here. This piece of legislation goes far back as 2000. It is 2019. And in 2000, a group of immigrants' rights activists met with officials from Rhode Island Division of Motor Vehicles to find a way for undocumented immigrants to be eligible for driver's license. That's 2000, that's 19 years ago. We had an individual that proposed the state to allow undocumented immigrants to use special tax identification numbers issued by the IRS in place of a social security number for the purpose of getting a driver's license. The individual taxpayer identification number is a tax processing number available only to certain non-resident and resident immigrants their spouses, and dependents who cannot get Social Security numbers. The 9-digit number begins with the numeral 9 and is formatted like a Social Security number. Letting undocumented immigrants use the TIN, as they would call it, taxpayer identification numbers, would also serve as an incentive for them to pay their taxes, thereby generating more revenue for the state of Rhode Island. Robert Carl Jr. at the time was overseeing the DMV, and he was elated. He was happy about this idea because he wanted to be able to track people. He had said, I want to be able to collect their taxes. I want them to pay car insurance. The state police back then also were in favor of this. However, by May 2002, the DMV had adopted new regulations allowing individual taxpayer identification numbers issued by the IRS to be used in place of Social Security numbers for obtaining a driver's license. There's absolutely no record of any type of incident, illegal, accidental, or whatever, that occurred when that policy had passed. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And there's absolutely no reason for us not to go back that way. What is getting under my skin is because the governor of the state of Rhode Island, in the event you don't know her name, Gina Raimondo, came as she was running and said, I signed on to a petition, not a petition, but a cardboard that the folks in the community had, presenting that she would extend her support and make that happen once again. Unfortunately, it's year number 5, and the community is still waiting. I realize that promises sometimes have to be broken. But let me tell you something. A promise as important and as serious as that, with a staff that she has, was not in any way needed to be broken. We have individuals that have proven themselves, continue to prove themselves, contribute to society, pay their taxes. They are definitely 100. And if they did not tell you that they were undocumented, you would not know. They are law-abiding citizens, with the exception of not having their legal documentation. Well, honey baby, we can go and check so that we have some citizens right here, born in this country, that they're not 100% either. And they should be, but they're not. These are our neighbors, these are our families, and our friends. And it's often asked of us, are we not each other's keeper? Absolutely. If I saw you out and you needed a helping hand, would I have to think about it? Absolutely not. Regardless, what am I going to say? Are you documented? Are you here legal to give a helping hand? This is about safety. This isn't about that marginalized group of people for which this state, some powers that are keeping secluded and separated. In the meantime that they're doing that, it's endangering all of the other citizens that are on the road. Because we have our illegal or undocumented sisters or brothers who are traveling. taking chances so that they can get to work, so that they can get to the doctor, so that they can bring the kids to the school, so that they can move from point A to point B. But every second that they are behind the wheel, they are thinking, it's today the day. It's today the day that I'm going to be pulled over and I don't have the right documentation. Can you imagine having to get up day after day and say and wonder if it is today the day? There's absolutely no reason for this to be going on. It's absolutely no reason why the governor couldn't and shouldn't sign this through executive order. There's absolutely no reason. But it's easier to pass the buck and say it's on the House and the Senate to do this, and I would happily sign it. Well, I've got a few pens for her. She can sign it without us having to do anything. And that would keep her promise to this community of individuals for which she depended on during, before, and after her election. Now she's in. Really? She has nothing to lose but everything to gain because she's on her next plan of her journey. And these families are still in the same place she left them 4-5 years ago. So don't put the burden on the Judiciary Committee, the House of Representatives, or the Judiciary of the Senate, and the Senate to do what she can do. Now, in May of 2003, Kacheri came in and presented, he had concerns about people that looking, sounding, acting different than the norm, whatever that norm may have been, were populating in the state of Rhode Island. So he then decided that no longer would accept tax identification number to obtain a driver's license. Why? What I just stated. Just think, between 2003 and 2019, the population has grown tremendously. I know some folks are very concerned about change. But change is here, and change will continue every day. And we need to accept it. We need to accept it. But we should not utilize a group of people just to keep your particular way of life the same. We are supposed to embrace change. We are supposed to embrace differences. Just like the Italians came in here, and they were definitely immigrants and challenged. Just like the Irish came, they were challenged as well. There is no difference other than the color of the skin. And it's unfair. When folks talk about the criminals coming in and more undesirables will be here, we got plenty of undesirables that were born in this country and live right up the street, and there's nothing that's being done about them because us, the taxpayers, are paying for them and taking care of them. We're talking about a people who is contributing, and there is not a nationality or a culture that they don't have any Joe Rockets in it. There's nobody that I have ran into that is a perfect individual. I have read that Job was the perfect one, and there will never be another one like him. But these are individuals who are also looking for the American dream. and they're doing what they're supposed to do. Under Almond administration, the DMV allowed undocumented drivers to use their taxpayer identification numbers. And it worked. So I hope that, knowing the facts that I'm going to cite and then let the other individuals present more information, that you will this year, that we send a loud message to either Gina Raimondo, the governor of the state of Rhode Island, and we pass this bill. We pass it out and we bring it on the floor and let us have an open, honest conversation on the floor about our neighbors, about our sisters and brothers and mothers and fathers that may look different than us but are paying their taxes and doing their due diligence in the state of Rhode Island. This legislation allows the Rhode Island Division of Motor Vehicle to issue driving privilege license and driving privilege permit to individuals who are unable to establish a lawful presence in Rhode Island and the United States. The purpose of this legislation is to ensure that all drivers on the road are knowledgeable of traffic safety laws and safe operation of motor vehicles. This legislation is strictly about the safety of everyone on Rhode Island's roads, whether they are legal resident or undocumented resident. These driving privilege licenses and permits are not, however, the equivalent of a regular Rhode Island driver's license, and there are several safeguards that have been put in place within the legislation to highlight the differences in privilege. Applicants must provide reliable proof and documentation of their name, date of birth, and place of birth from various different acceptable documents such as a foreign birth certificate, a valid foreign passport or an expired passport for no less than 3 years, or a valid foreign driver's license with an international driving permit. It also requires 2 forms of proof of a Rhode Island residential address, such as a utility bill or a letter from a shelter or halfway house. It also requires certification from the tax administrator that the applicant has filed tax returns with the state of Rhode Island for the past 2 years. An affidavit must be filed with the DMV attesting that an application to legalize immigration status has been or will be filed as soon as possible. Applicants must apply and conduct all renewals in person as well and are subject to all educational and tests involved with the driving privilege. And a driving privilege license holder is unable to apply for a chauffeur's license. Also, the driving privilege license and permit are not valid for federal or state identification purposes. There are also safeguards in place to eliminate discrimination against driving privilege license or permit holders, such as it cannot be used as evidence of citizenship or immigration status, and it cannot be used as a basis for criminal investigation, arrest, or detention. And it will be illegal to discriminate against any individual because they hold or present a driving privilege permit or license. In conclusion, this legislation is about driver safety on our roads. Everyone needs to be tested and know the safety protocols to keep every driver safe and on the road, whether they are documented residents or not. Mr. Chair, members of this committee, I thank you for your time. Again, it's been a long time, and I think it's time. And I know the governor can do this, but if she decides not to do it, oh, by the way, and she wants to hijack it by putting her stamp on it, claiming that she is the one that initiated it, and not so. But in the event there's a discussion amongst the committee members, I would ask you to please put this on the floor. Pass this to show not only your colleague who's been sponsoring this bill, but the people of the state of Rhode Island, the individuals that it has been affecting more so and tremendously for a very long time. Bring it out. Bring it out, I ask you, please. And I thank you for the opportunity to testify before you on behalf of the citizens of the state of Rhode Island, documented or not.
Thank you, Representative. Any questions for Representative Williams?
No, I don't have no questions. I'm just going to add on to what the sister said. Well, right now, this woman has been working for 19 years to get this on the House floor. So I went and counted how many bills, how many letters are in favor of this bill. There's 18 of them, 18 of them. But that's a miscount. There's more than 18. There's a list of them right back here on the back of this. So I don't get why they're not, this bill, no matter how it may be written, should not go to the House floor. There's only one letter rather, excuse me, one letter that's against this bill. What was aggravating in this letter, because I'm going to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. When I'm reading this letter, I'm going to paraphrase this letter. It says, these documents allow them, what the hell is them? Them to board airplanes that they hijack to attack this nation. Then they obtain housing, transportation, and other documents without raising suspicion while they carried out their deadly conspiracy. Guess what? I ain't nothing but a buffalo soldier. I'm black all over the world. My first wife was Native American, God rest her soul. But there's people up here who think I'm Native American. I'm not. Life goes on. Got my daughters raised them. That's why I got an apple gray hair. Then, Mr. Chairman, married this Puerto Rican woman. I thought she was converted. The hell do I know? About racial profiling, right? So I go and I learned all about the Latinos. So I went from a Native American to Latino to this beautiful woman right here. You know what? We got 18 and more counting that want you all on the House floor. We only got one organization called FAIR. FAIR? Who says they don't want you out. So you're right, my sister. Let's fight to get this on the House floor. Let's battle what we did. I just want to end it.
But we are always fighting. Anytime it comes to poor people and people of color, we are always fighting. We are not an equal. We are not an equal. Even though we have a mother and a father, we go to school, become educated, as the governor says, go to school, work hard, and follow the rules, and you will succeed.
No.
Well, she failed to say that that applies to only some, and those usually are the privileged ones. Because anytime we have to work 100 times harder to succeed. To be heard, first of all, and maybe succeed. And that's where the injustice comes along in this building. So put it out on the floor. Let the folks present their opinions, their concerns on behalf of self and their constituency on this matter. If she wants it to go there, let's bring it there.
Yeah.
But until it is done right, I'm going to continue to put the facts as they are. No, I'm not looking for any fans. I'm looking for justice. That's it.
Thank you.
Hey.